This is the Overdue Homework Podcast.
Welcome to the show. That's Trav, I'm Drew.
And I'm Trav.
This is the Overdue Homework Podcast, and as always, we are here to give you our opinions on 80s and 90s media. Don't forget to contact us at podcast@overduehomework.com. Trav, how you doing?
Really good, man.
Good.
No more days off for us to do this anymore. It's a Thursday afternoon, but I love my job now. So
That's good.
That's a good thing. I really, really enjoy my job. Or at least I don't hate coming to work anymore.
There you go.
Which is a huge plus.
That makes a big difference in life.
It's been fun going to work now. How are you doing?
I'm doing really good, but I have to ask, how is Douglas the Frenchie doing?
Oh, Douglas is awesome.
I saw Douglas has an Instagram page.
Yes, he does.
Way to go, Douglas.
We haven't done anything to promote it, and he's already got followers.
That's amazing.
That's awesome. So he's a rehome dog, so there's some separation anxiety, and he had some, anxiety issues already beforehand. So for a while, we were trying to still get him to sleep in the crate at night, and let's just say it was not worth it.
Not worth it.
He sleeps in the bed now.
He sleeps in the bed.
And he's a great little Dougie now.
So you're just like, I guess this is my life now.
This is my life now. He's a really good sleeper. I mean,
That's
he
good.
snores like me,
Yeah.
so Lauren had to get some sound canceling.
That makes sense.
But he doesn't wake us up. He doesn't have any accidents in the house.
That's
and all
great.
that, so it's been awesome.
I mean, what is he, 24 inches long and all of, 8 pounds, 10 pounds?
Pretty much. He's
guy.
under 20 pounds.
Yeah.
I can toss him around.
He's a little guy. That's perfect. Perfect bed sleeping dog.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm doing fine. Kristen and I's anniversary is coming up. I just was talking to you about that. We'll have been together for 16 years here in May, and it's been a wonderful 16 years. So
That's awesome.
it's I'm pretty pumped. It's 16 years together and 9 years married, so you do the math.
Yeah, this summer will be 11 years for Lauren and I.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Two committed men.
Yeah,
here.
committed. Yep, I'm committed. I'm not going anywhere. This is my life. This is what I was working for my whole life.
Committed to our significant others and this podcast.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about the podcast. Yes, committed to both forever and ever and ever.
I was thinking today that it's now to the point where we've been doing this for over 2 years, at least that we've started recording.
Yep.
And it's getting to the point where I don't even remember what emails we've done anymore.
No, me neither.
So you can send us an email we've already done. I probably won't remember it. So
I got to think really hard. They'll quiz me like, "Oh, what about this episode?" or "What was this episode?" or what? And I'm like, I don't know.
It's next to impossible when somebody comes up and on your last episode. But for us, that's 3 episodes ago, and we're doing our homework for the next one. It's dude, I got no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, and then we got in a situation where we've had to go back to back to back here. Well, back to back again.
Yep.
And it gets even more convoluted in that aspect because I'll be getting ready for the next podcast, editing the last podcast, and then watching stuff for the next podcast. It's I don't know what I'm doing anymore.
I have no idea.
That's all right. I love watching this stuff. I love doing the podcast, so it's well worth the time and worth the effort. Absolutely love it. So in preparation for today's podcast, I used an article from thehockeynews.com, and that was written by Sal Berry.
Sal Berry.
Sal Berry. Thanks, Sal. Thanks, Sal. And of course, our homework review for this week is Youngblood from 1986, and that was directed by Peter Markle, written by Peter Markle and John Whitman, produced by Peter Markle, Peter Bart, and Patrick Wells. Peter, Bart, you have 2 first names for a name. Of course, Youngblood is starring Rob Lowe, the sexy Rob Lowe, as Dean Pretty Boy Youngblood, even though they only call him Pretty Boy once in the whole movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had to look it up, though. 22 years old when this was out.
Yeah, he looks all of that age,
he does.
too. Yeah,
He's
he definitely.
super young.
He's playing a 17-year-old, too, which is believable.
It's believable.
It's believable. He's a very slender man in this
For sure.
movie. He's not the Slenderman, but he's a slender man.
Before we get to the Swayze, do you know how old he's supposed to be playing in this movie?
I don't, because they never really reference it, but since he's been in the league, he's an established player, he's a star of the league, I would assume If Dean is 17, I would assume that Derek Sutton is probably in his early 20s.
Okay.
That's what I would assume.
That would make sense. I think he might say 4 years that he's been there, possibly.
That would make sense.
That'd be about it. But he was 34.
Whoa.
During this. He's my age.
He does not look 34.
He doesn't look 34, but I couldn't believe there's that big of an age gap between Rob Lowe and him.
But it's this movie. We'll get into it. We'll get into it.
Back to starring.
Starring Charlie Wasley as young Dean Youngblood. You see him for a second in the beginning. Yeah. He's young in that. Ed Lauder as Murray Chadwick, who has a New York accent that goes in and out throughout the whole movie because he's supposed to be from New York, because him and Justine, he kind of has a New York accent sometimes, kind of doesn't other times, but that's okay. That's okay. Cynthia Gibb as Jesse Chadwick.
Hubba.
Yeah. Jim Youngs as Kelly Youngblood. His name is Youngs, and he's the Youngblood. That's great job, Kelly. Rick Davis as young Kelly Youngblood from the very beginning of the movie. That's just the only time you see him.
Yep.
Patrick Swayze as Derek Sutton. Love me some Swayze.
Swayze.
Damn, I love me some Swayze. Fionnuala Flanagan as Miss McGill. Fionnuala. That's a terrible name, Fionnuala. I'm sorry. But it's just, there's too many vowels, too many consonants. Just get it down there to like Fiona, please.
Yeah, seriously.
Fionnuala Flanagan. Lots of A's in that name. Ken James as Fraser. George J. Finn as the despicable Carl Racki.
Bastard.
Yeah. Peter Fawcett. Yeah, Fawcett.
Okay.
As Huey. He's got such a... They say his name like once in the whole movie. Like if you didn't know that is who he is, you'd be like, I don't know who that guy is.
No idea who he is.
Eric Nestrenko as Blaine Youngblood. Keanu Reeves as Haver. It was released January 30th, 1986. It had a budget of $8 million. It collected $15.4 million at the box office. That's $42.9 million in 2024. This movie became a very popular rental on VHS, and it also aired regularly on TV. And in the late 2000s, a PG-rated edit of Youngblood was shown in the U.S. during the NHL playoffs when a series ended early.
Nice.
They're like, hey, these people like hockey. They're on that hockey movie.
They're on that Youngblood.
They're on that hockey movie. So, should we get on to the breakdown?
Let's get to the breakdown.
Let's break it down. All right. So, the movie... It opens up with some 8mm footage of what I would suppose would be our old buddy Dean Youngblood as a kid. And I mean, that's the only thing that could be. Scoring goals like it's nobody's business.
Yeah.
He's got the touch. He's got the touch. And then a fight because he's too good, and those kids take shinny hockey very seriously.
Yeah.
Nobody fights on an outdoor hockey rink because you're out there having fun.
Right.
The idea of fighting being super ingrained in hockey culture in this movie is a bit extreme.
It's a bit extreme.
It is ingrained in hockey culture, but as a youth player, you don't fight.
Yeah.
You never fight.
Right.
And these people are fighting, and then in juniors, there's lots of fights in junior hockey in Canada. But man, they fight all the time in this movie.
I can't assume it's realistic for the coach to go deck one of the attendees at the game and just go back to coaching.
No. They did escort him out, but he would have been escorted into the back of a police car.
Right, yeah. They kind of just took him to the back, gave up.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah. Ugh. So we're going to flash forward to a fully grown up Dean, and he's showing off his skills in some slow-mo as those opening credits play. So, I mean, it's a hockey movie, so get ready for lots of slow-mo shots because that's what you do in a hockey movie. Lots of sports movies is just slow-mo, 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 slow-mo. Rob Lowe, he looks pretty natural as a skater, right?
Right.
It's not him.
Yeah.
It's mostly not him.
I can tell that it's mostly not him. It reminds me of Hal and Malcolm in the Middle with the roller skating episode.
Yes,
Every time it pans to his back, you can tell it's not him. It's the same with Rob Lowe. It's like as soon as he's going really fast or doing anything complicated, it's not him.
There's even a few scenes where he's scoring goals, and even when Derek Sutton, Patrick Swayze is scoring goals, it's obviously not them.
Right,
but
seriously.
Suspension of disbelief, blah, 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 blah.
So knowing we've seen Happy Gilmore a bunch, is that pulling from some of this movie with like the 8mm camera footage in the beginning?
I would assume so.
And then the tryout thing looks the exact same.
I would
like the
assume
yellow
so.
jerseys and whatever.
Yeah, I would really assume so. I didn't really make that
be.
connection, but I would really assume
It's
so.
gotta be.
I would guess that Adam Sandler's probably a pretty big fan of this movie.
Probably
Makes sense. Pretty big fan. Like I said, the skating stuff is mostly not Rob Lowe. Lowe could not skate when he was cast in this movie. That's not a good start.
No.
I mean, he's sexy as hell and was a big-time rising star at the time, but maybe get a guy that can skate.
Maybe start there. I would start there.
So production set him up with a figure skater to teach him how to skate. She got him to be able to stand on his skates and go from point A to point B. So they basically just stuck to shooting Rob Lowe from the waist up during the movie when you can tell it's him, and that's very obvious. I counted on my hand twice where they do full body shots of him skating, really, but I was like, okay.
Right.
Yeah. I love the synth song in the opening when he's doing his stuff. I love that. It's very 80s feeling. I've already said this. Rob Lowe is looking super hot through this whole movie the whole time. So we're at the farm now, and with his dad and his brother Kelly. Dean has been offered a tryout with the Mustangs, but there's too much to do on the farm, so Dad won't let him go. Kelly steps up.
I'll pick up the slack, Dad.
Dean even offers to buy a tractor with his bonus money if he gets on the team.
Let him go. He'll be back in a week with his tail between his legs.
That's enough for Dad. Dad is Eric Nastrenko. Like I said, he played 20 seasons in the NHL and was the film's hockey consultant.
That's really cool.
It's kind of interesting, too, because he was teaching skiing in Colorado, I believe. This is off the top of my head from what I read. Teaching skiing in Colorado. One of the producers of the movie, was on the slopes, saw him, and was like, hey, you want to be in our movie? And he's like, yeah, sure. 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 So Dean heads to the tryout with his brother's kick-ass GTO. That's a pretty sweet-ass car. It's an Italian abbreviation for Gran Turismo Omologato, which translates the Grand Touring Homologated. It's not much better.
No, it isn't. It really isn't.
In English, that's what it translates to. It refers to road racing vehicles that have been certified by the FIA for racing in the Grand Tourer class as a production car with at least 100 units made. And that is a bonus fact. And Dean and his brother Kelly, they cross into Canada at Niagara Falls, singing the Canadian national anthem. Would you care to grace us with your rendition of the Canadian national anthem, Trev?
I do not know it.
Oh, Canada. Blah, blah, blah. You'd think I would know it better for how much hockey and stuff I've watched over my life, but I don't know it at all. I've been to Niagara Falls twice.
Nice.
Kristen and I went there on our honeymoon, speaking of anniversaries.
Cool.
And I went there as a kid. I would recommend it. It's unbelievable.
I would love to see it.
It's unbelievable. It's very touristy, but it's unbelievable to actually see the falls. And if you go to Niagara Falls, go on the boat to go out into the falls.
Sure.
Do not skip that.
Yeah.
That is the stupidest thing ever if you go to Niagara Falls and you don't do that.
Yeah.
Also, only go to the Canadian side.
I was going to say, my uncle went recently and he said, go to the Canadian side.
That's the good side.
That's where all the good stuff is.
Yes, that's the good side. You can actually see the falls from the Canadian side because the American side is the side that has the falls. So you kind of look at an angle, kind of back at it. You're like, oh, there it is.
There it is. Hey.
You got to go on the boat, get in there, because they bring you right down into that horseshoe. You're getting soaked with the mist from the falls. When we did that on our honeymoon. We got on the boat. And they have this tented area on the boat so you can sit in there and not get wet. And nobody was at the front of the boat. Kristen and I were looking at each other. I'm like, let's go to the front of the fucking boat. Why are these people out there? Get out there. And so we did. They make it to the Hamilton Arena, the home of the Mustangs. Kelly leaves Dean with some advice.
Don't take any shit from the Canucks. To them, you're just another crossing the river to play their game.
Man, that's a racially charged word right there.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I might bleep it.
Might have to bleep that.
I might have to bleep. You really can't say that.
You can't say it. You know.
Really can't. And then Kelly's like, "I'm out. See ya."
See ya.
We make it to the tryout. Most of the people trying out seem to be very subpar.
Yeah.
One guy tripped over the blue line.
Pathetic.
Pathetic. It's painted. But there is one player named Carl Racki, and he's an enforcer. 300 plus minutes of penalties. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot of penalties.
It's literally like Happy Gilmore.
Yes.
Most time spent in a penalty box, and I'm the only person ever to take my skate off and try to stab somebody.
Oh, man, we need to do that movie.
We do need to do that.
George Finn, who portrayed the nemesis Carl Racki, is a former OHL enforcer, so he's got the chops to back up his acting there.
Nice.
He's got the skills. Dean gets on the ice and immediately scores.
92 goals, 125 assists, and 14 penalty minutes.
He seems better.
Yeah, he's a little bit better.
Who would you choose?
I'm going to go with Dean.
So, like, it's kind of like the comparison between Dean and Carl kind of reminds me of ice hockey on the NES.
Oh, sure.
Where you had to choose between the 3 different sizes of guys. You could do, like, the skinny guy that was fast. You could do, like, the medium guy, or you could do the big fat guy.
Yeah.
You always chose 2 fat guys and 1 skinny guy. That's
Sure.
what you got to do.
Sure.
You got to knock them all around. Did you ever play that game? Oh, man, that's worth a play. That's for sure. The Swayze and his buddies, they're out there watching that tryout. Somebody hit him.
They can't catch him.
Yeah, that's a good reason not to hit him. And then Coach Chadwick says, why don't you put Racki across from Dean? At the face-off, Dean gets a stick to the face.
Yeah.
So Dean chases Racki down and lays a hit on him. And that pisses Racki right off.
Oh, yeah.
Keep your head up, prick.
Look where the puck is, asshole.
You want to go, pretty boy? Dean should not have went.
No, he shouldn't have.
Punched in the face pretty hard.
Yeah.
So what do the coaches think? Racki or Dean? It's Dean. Duh. Duh. He fights like a grandma, though.
Yes, he does.
Don't fight like a grandma, please. In the locker room, the dudes are pumping iron, and Swayze's looking great.
Looking great.
They're pumping iron in their hockey equipment. I don't think that's a thing.
I don't think so either.
Especially since, like, the tryout is done.
Right.
That's not a thing.
Just, keep the hockey pants on.
Yeah, that is odd.
While you're
That
working
is
on your
odd.
shoulders.
That is odd. By the way, the pants that they wear,
Yeah.
they are called hockey pants, and everywhere around the world except for Minnesota. Minnesotans call them breezers.
Breezers. Never heard of it.
Yeah, it's very funny. If you go anywhere besides Minnesota and you say breezers, people are like, what the fuck are you talking about?
You mean hockey pants?
Nah, they're breezers, buddy. Oh, I got to go get my breezers. And the fact that Swayze snaps that dude in the junk with his towel, like, that's kind of weird. Snap, got you in the junk.
See you later.
We see Dean getting sewn up by the equipment guy, not the doctor. The dude's done some needlepoint, so it's okay.
Yeah, that's right.
He's just like, yeah, we got a doc, but he can't do this, so I'm doing it. And I can do 6 stitches in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
That seems slow.
That does seem very slow.
And he leaves them with, I don't have any Novocaine, so this may hurt a little.
Yeah. Cool.
We get that first Keanu sighting, which is great.
Love it.
Keanu. So, according to Steve Thomas, he played the character named Jordy in the movie, and I believe that's the guy with the long flowing hair that gets busted with the hair dryer at one point.
Yeah.
Keanu was actually one heck of a goalie, and he knew what he was doing out there. He hung out with the actual players, and they played cards and had a lot of fun together. So
Nice.
Keanu's like, I'm actually a goalie, eh?
Yeah. Suck it.
Suck it. Dean gets his shot at playing on the Mustangs, because otherwise we wouldn't have a movie.
Obviously.
And Racki doesn't take kindly to the choice, so he's just going to smash some shit as he leaves.
Don't worry, you'll be seeing me around.
I mean, I would hope so, otherwise we wouldn't have a movie.
Obviously. Need a villain.
Dean goes to confront Racki in his jockstrap. Why would he do this?
I do not know. It made 0 sense to me. And then why does he give up?
Yeah.
It's like if you're really trying to say something.
Say something? He brought his hockey stick with him, too? Like, I'm going to hit you in the face with my hockey stick?
Was he trying to, like, sneak up on him in the towel with the hockey stick and hit him from behind? Or otherwise it's like, hey, pretty boy.
Yeah.
Something.
Something.
Trig him.
And he's walking out there in that towel, and it falls off, and he does nothing to try to stop it.
I mean...
Turn around and pick it up, put it on himself.
Something. Something.
So really, the reason that they do this is so he can get caught in nothing but a jockstrap, so we can see his butt.
Right.
And then, of course, a mystery woman. She comes out of nowhere. The locker room's that way. Instant love connection between Dean and her.
Oh, yeah.
The locked doors is a funny bit as he tries to get out of the situation in the hallway. The one door is locked that Carl Racki just went through, but that's okay. They're both locked. And so what is he going to do? He's going to cover up his junk with the blade of a stick. That's okay.
I mean, that's what you got to do.
And then as he walks by Jessie, that's who it is. We don't know her name yet, but as he walks by Jessie, he starts like feigning practicing stick handling in the hallway. That's just so weird.
So weird.
It's just so weird. He's like, yeah, I meant to be out here at my jock. I just wanted to get some stick handling practice in.
Oh, that towel? That's not mine.
That's not my towel. So we're back in the locker room now, and Dean is about to get hazed. So yes, hazing and hockey. It was a thing when I played. I can't speak to how it is today in high school hockey. I only played in high school, and I didn't play in college.
Yeah.
But shaving the balls, that is not a thing.
It's not a thing.
That is not a thing.
Dang, fool me. I thought for sure this happened all the time.
I literally have no plans to touch another man's nutsack.
At all.
0 plans.
Nor do I have any plans to put my jockstrap on my face as a surgical mask.
Never.
No, I'm really not going to do that.
The Victor Gunderson incident, that was pretty funny. They don't want another Victor Gunderson incident.
Poor Victoria.
That's pretty funny. So Dean, he goes to the boarding house now, and we meet the lovely Miss McGill. And to quote Bob Seger, I do respect her butt. I love to watch her strut.
Hey,
she has got a nice butt.
She does have a nice butt. That was the first instance from like, what is this movie? Yeah, I was thinking like, is this rated R possibly, or what's going on? And
definitely.
Then you find out later it is.
It is definitely rated R. So next we flash to Dean sleeping in his bed and eating a fried chicken leg.
What in the hell? How did he get to that point? There's no other plate or any other food in there. So he hypothetically went downstairs, grabbed one chicken leg, and got a couple bites in before he started falling asleep.
Fell asleep with a chicken leg in his hand, and then when he wakes up, he takes a bite out of it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. My chicken leg.
Did he take a bite out of it, or was he like, I think he was like already chewing. Like he got out of bed and was just chewing and didn't take a bite out of it.
He woke up and kept chewing because he fell asleep mid-bite.
Fell asleep mid-chewing food.
Whoops. Can you get the door? Like, sure, I guess.
Just such a very weird thing to have in a movie. Dean is about to get L'd, also known as laid.
Oh. He's about to get L'd hard.
So Miss McGill, she houses all the boys that come through the Mustangs, and she likes to bang them too.
I mean, I guess.
She's been very busy. She has quite the stack of cards.
Yes, she does. Yes,
she has been very, very busy. So this was the first instance for me of the movie diverting from my memory.
Sure.
I do not remember this sex scene. I do not remember the subsequent nudity in the movie.
Yeah.
So the version that we watched on the hockey bus as a team on the coach bus with those little TVs, up underneath the whatever.
Yeah.
Must have been an edited version.
Had to be.
I could see our coach having recorded it off of TV and then going through and like pausing the recording while the commercials were on or something. I could see that. I don't remember there being commercials in it, but I have no memory of this scene, Dean getting banged by the lady, by Miss McGill, or the later subsequent sex scene with Jesse.
Yeah.
0 memory.
No boobs on the bus.
No boobs on the bus.
No boobs on the bus.
I don't think that would have gone over very well with the hockey parents.
Probably not.
We get our second Keanu sighting as he and his teammate watch Dean get laid. She do it to me last year. Great, man. Great.
And then we're at the bar, and the team is all there drinking beer. Some extended Keanu time.
That man is a fucking animal.
Cheers to Mrs. McGill. Hey, a round of tequila. Some girls join the table, and they are horny.
Yes, they are. They're horny for some hockey guys.
Then the gross-ass teeth joke.
I would definitely barf if somebody put somebody else's dentures in my drink.
Definitely, and I thought... So I'm thinking, okay, so Swayze is like, come on over here, you horny broads. and they do right away. And then I thought, okay, is he disinterested within 10 seconds that he's trying to piss them off with the teeth thing? And it goes over as a big joke.
They like, this is hilarious.
This
you guys
is
are
so
the best.
funny. Oh my God. I can't believe I touched your teeth with my mouth and my Bloody Mary. Like, what the hell? I just thought that was super weird.
It was very weird.
That they just keep on going, like, here we go. It's part of the fun with the hockey guys.
And then Huey wants to show them his butthole, too. Like, he's got bad hemorrhoids. He's like, I'm going to show you my butthole.
Well, let me show you. Maybe later with a little more beer.
Then I'll look at your butthole.
Oh, my God. And Derek is getting Dean wasted.
Oh, hazing.
Dean is the only one really taking the shots. And, I mean, it's kind of believable because he's the youngin', and I guess he would fall for it.
Yeah.
But what a waste of money.
Well, yeah, and then they're all throwing their shots over their shoulder.
Yeah.
And it's funny, too, because there's a couple instances where people are, like, walking behind him and they're like, hey, watch out.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah. What are you doing? There's tequila all over the floor.
Like, what a waste of money.
What a waste, giant waste of money.
Maybe go up to the bar and be like, I need shots for the table, but only one tequila.
Yeah.
The rest need to be water.
Water. Yeah.
And then we're going to chuck them all over the floor.
Yeah, now we're going to chuck, probably 7 shots 4 or 5 times. So,
right.
Come on, 28 shots of tequila down the drain.
Man, I don't care if it's 1986 or not. That would have been very expensive.
Very expensive.
And then those chicks chuck their drinks too. Like, what is
the Bloody
up with
Marys.
Ah, that's hilarious. The bartender would have been like, you guys need to leave.
Yeah, get the hell out of here. And then the next day at practice is sucking balls for Dean because he is hungover as F.
Yes, that's definitely true. That's
super hungover.
I don't know. Exercise and being hungover, not a good combination.
Not a good combo. Dean is sucking so bad he gets dressed down by Murray Chadwick, the coach.
How did you get so horseshit in one day? Come on, you rocked yesterday. Now you suck.
Yeah. So was that Derek's plan to knock Dean down a peg or two?
It kind of seems like it a little bit. Like that was the whole idea, is to have him have a bad day at practice. Make him try to be accountable. Is it part of the
hazing, or is it he's a little intimidated already by the new Youngblood?
Maybe both.
Okay.
Testing the limits to see if Dean's a cool dude.
Right.
I don't know, but I wouldn't be very happy if I was Dean.
I definitely wouldn't be happy. That night, Dean runs into Jessie outside the theater, and they are being very flirtatious.
Ooh.
She's playing hard to God. And Dean follows her into a convenience store of some kind and grabs a book called Nympho with T's on the cover.
I don't remember that either. The whole thing is very weird.
Very weird, yeah. She buys him Moby Dick for something to do on the bus and in bed.
Instead of masturbating.
And he buys Nympho anyway.
Yeah, he's going to masturbate to that book.
Yeah, he is. And they leave the store and run into Coach Murray. He's Jesse's father.
Yikes.
She has put a target on Dean's back, we'll say. She even decides to stay with Dean instead of getting a ride home. And after Dean pulls out the Nympho book...
Look, she bought me a book.
Look, she bought me a book. Oh, whoops, that was the wrong one.
Whoopsie.
And they go for a stroll and connect. They share some stories and really have a nice moment.
They do.
They do.
They're a very believable couple. Their chemistry is very good on screen.
They are much, much better than Frank Dix
and Janice. Much better.
Much
that
better.
Is very, very true.
No leg comments. This is going to be one of the first oh my God, your legs. Didn't have any leg comments in this one. But yeah, Jesse doesn't think it's a good idea if they see each other, and Dean gets it.
Thanks for the book. Oh, man.
And then they go their separate ways. The next day at the rink in the locker room.
I do not get why Derek eats that rose. He says he gets it from from his fan club in Toronto. And then he eats the rose. And then his buddy's like, you got any more? I want one too. I don't get it.
I'm lost.
I don't get it.
I
was hoping you would have had some insight.
No.
I don't. Why he just eats that rose?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Sure. Email us if you know what that means.
If you know,
I don't.
email us. Anyways, it's game time. Most of the players in the film, such as Steve Thomas, Don Biggs, Peter Zezel, and James Richmond, were OHL or NCAA players at the time. Thomas and Zezel went on to lengthy NHL careers.
That's pretty neat. I love that authenticity. And adding to the realism, writer and director Peter Marco is a former minor pro at an international player for the U.S. Cinematographer Mark Irwin donned skates and a helmet and devised a special rig to shoot the movie on ice.
Nice.
They initially were shooting it from a wheelchair. I guess that makes sense. It's pretty maneuverable. You sit in this wheelchair, kind of roll it around the ice. That worked fine, but they ended up designing and manufacturing dollies with vibration isolators on them.
Ooh.
And using actual skate blades for the dollies so they could put the dolly on the ice and drive it around.
Nice.
That's really neat.
That is pretty cool.
Vibration isolators.
Vibration isolators. Definitely rated R. Finally, some hockey in a hockey movie.
Thank God.
We had that tiny little
bit
in the beginning.
Tiny little bit.
Beginning. Yeah. Jesse is listening to the game at school. Some fun hockey action.
It can be kind of hard for me to watch the hockey scenes. Like, I like them. They're entertaining.
Yeah.
But I'm just watching it with the eye of somebody that's played hockey for 40 years.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just like, sometimes it's just too much. And I'm like, Gah!
Like not making sense, like offsides happening all the time, or
just
what?
the
Like,
action on the ice. Like when the game opens up and they're all just knocking each other over.
Yeah.
That's not a thing.
not a thing. And there's too many times when they're just like strolling.
Yeah.
Just like casually having fun at the ice rink. And I'm supposed to go from believing Dean's like the fastest guy in the West to he's just going to stroll with Swayze.
That's all he does. Strolls around.
Nah.
Nope.
No.
Nope.
Dean scores Jesse's outburst in class.
That's pretty funny when she's listening to it. She goes, "Go Youngblood!" And the teacher's not like, why are you listening to the radio in my class?
No.
I need to take that from you.
Yeah, lets her pick it back up and say what she's doing and go back to listening.
And everybody's like, what's the score?
Ooh,
What's the score?
score?
So weird.
And gets the puck flipped up to him by Derek.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool moment.
Pretty cool moment, but Dean gets benched?
Why at this point?
I'm not understanding.
I understand that he benches him because Chadwick benches him because he doesn't like the fact that he's supposedly dating his daughter.
Right.
But if that's really it, why not do it from the beginning of the game?
Why the hell was he in the game in the first place?
He just scored.
Yeah. Get on the bench.
Generally, you say stay out there. You just scored a goal. Get another one.
The Mustangs win, but it seems like Dean was benched for the rest of the game. So in the locker room, Dean tosses his game puck in the trash. He's pissed that he got benched. And after the game, Dean finds Jesse on the ice working the Zamboni.
Lucky. I want to work the Zamboni.
Oh, yeah. Dean dives in front of the Zamboni to get her to stop. Okay.
Yeah. Why? That's so weird.
That
like
seems
he's
super dumb.
risking his life.
Not worth. After he fakes his death by the Zamboni, he and Jesse have a talk. Derek says, "I'm being benched because I'm seeing you. So if I'm being benched for something I'm not doing, I might as well do it.
Do what?
Take you out, silly."
But what if I don't want you to?
"I know you will because your dad doesn't want you to."
And she's like, yeah, good point.
No, that's a good point. That's a good point. So they go on a date at the ice rink.
I mean, just give us another location in this movie.
Come on, just up the budget and
Just
give
a
us
little
another
bit.
location.
Oh, boy.
So romantic. He fakes being a bad skater.
I don't think that was faking. I think that was more realistic.
Yeah, that was actually Rob trying to skate. And she ends up on top of him.
On the ice.
On the ice.
That's weird.
Got all these elderlies just skating around. Yep.
Yep,
Yep,
that's
okay.
very, very, very
Whatever,
weird.
just chill. You know.
Chill laying on the ice.
Foreshadowing. They play a little cat and mouse chasing each other on the ice, and the guard dude doesn't like that and chases them, ending up crashing into the refreshment table. Sure. Dean and Jesse end up in her office, utility closet with a desk.
Yeah.
They connect further. They talk about their past, her and her dad's playing days.
He was more than just a goon.
And the times he played hockey as a kid on the outdoor rinks, he let Jesse know that hockey is life and playing in the NHL is all he wanted to do. He doesn't want to work on a farm or in a goddamn mill. Things are getting hot and heavy in the broom closet, so they decide to take things to a sexier location. At the boarding house, never saw this scene.
I never saw this scene.
Never saw this scene
No.
for Drew on the bus.
Nope.
Jesse and Dean, they bang.
They do bang.
They
do
bang.
bang.
Mattress on the floor.
So that's something that you don't really think about, but when you see it, you're like, oh, I remember being 20. Some fond memories, to say the least.
Definitely. But yeah, so we get some tits.
Yeah.
Tits that never made it on the bus.
No.
They grace your screens if you watch the movie.
Yeah.
And they get busted by Miss Miguel. Poor Miss Miguel.
Yeah.
She looks heartbroken.
She really does.
She wanted to get laid a couple more times. And she had the tea and everything. She was all ready to go. And the scene ends with a water bottle fight in Dean's bed. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Why the hell would you do that?
Your mattress is soaked now.
Your mattress is soaked, and the girl who's going to clean it up, hypothetically, is kind of pissed at you right now.
It seems like it wouldn't have been too far out of Miss McGill's playbook to be like, is there room for one more?
I honestly was expecting that.
I can't believe she didn't.
I mean, she went in knowing what was going on, at least remotely.
I don't know. They kind of snuck in. Maybe she didn't know.
A little bit, but it seemed like she knows he's in there with someone. And instead of giving him any privacy, she's like, I'm not even going to knock. I'm just going to walk right in.
Oh, yeah, she does realize before she goes in there that she can hear that he's in there with some. So that would have led more credence to the fact that she would have been like, may I join you two?
Exactly. And now we're at Derek's bitchin' pad.
Yeah.
For being one of the premier stars of the league, he kind of sucks at shooting pucks.
He kind of does.
He does. 3 shots before he scores. Is he a little drunk, maybe?
Maybe. That would make sense.
I mean, he might be. Dean, on the other hand, scores immediately, and with the game puck, he tosses in the garbage.
Ooh.
Derek has some advice.
You don't want stitches in Thunder Bay. If they see them, they're going to try to open you up again.
So Derek takes out them stitches. And more advice. Don't date the coach's daughter.
There you go. Some good advice.
Should have been an obvious one. Also, with insinuating that you have to take hockey seriously. For many of the players, this is the only real career path. Hell, Derek didn't even finish high school.
Yeah, man. But he can play the game.
He didn't
even finish high school.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Finish.
Dude.
Get your GED, brother.
Get your GED, bro.
So now it's time for that match in Thunder Bay. The hockey scenes for Youngblood were shot at 3 Toronto rinks over the summer of 1984. Filming hockey is pretty difficult. You need to coordinate players, navigate expenses, cameras, and all that stuff around the ice, and you have to have enough people in the stands to make it look like a real game.
Right.
The hockey action was shot in slow motion at 32 frames a second because 24 frames per second made it look overcranked, like it's kind of a Buster Keaton film, or who was the guy that Benny Hill, when they're all running around the Benny Hill, kind of like a Benny Hill show almost. The crowd is very hostile in Thunder Bay. Derek suggests that one fellow in the crowd should go hump his St. Bernard.
Scum nuts.
Scum nuts?
Nuts.
I need to bring that back or bring it into existence because I don't think anybody says scum nuts.
I've never heard it until this.
There are some very hostile signs in the crowd as well.
Pussies on ice.
Yes. And then one declaring that Sutton is an F word. I'm not going to say that F word. That was a little bit too much.
Yeah.
Not the F-U-C, not fuck, the other F word. I can say that word. And then the chain link fence has glass on the boards. I have never seen that anywhere but in this movie. The puck would not react off of the fence. It would be completely dead as soon as a puck hit that. It'd be very weird. It'd be very, very weird. So about that crowd, if I may for a second here, they had about 100 extras there every day. They would jam them all together for the tight stuff around the benches with both teams. But when they got to skating, you would see a whole side of the arena, which was empty.
Yeah.
100 people wouldn't fill it. You'd need more like 400.
Sure.
So the prop guys and wardrobe built these scarecrows out of wooden T-shaped frames with styrofoam heads that were painted flesh-colored, and then they'd put a shirt or jacket on it or whatever, and the sleeves would be safety pinned to the sleeves of one of the extras, so when the person waved or shook their arms, the scarecrow would do the same thing.
Oh, my.
After knowing that fact and having watched the movie, there's 1 or 2 instances where you can actually tell that there's when you're looking for it,
right?
You can actually tell that there's these weird scarecrow things in the crowd, and they're super duper obvious. So I'm guessing that's why they're on the screen for a millisecond,
right?
Because it probably looked terrible on screen.
I would assume.
Probably looked absolutely terrible. And we find out that Dean's old buddy Racki is playing for the Bombers. It's game time, and Dean is still riding the pine. The first period did not go very well for the Mustangs.
No.
They're getting pummeled on the ice, and in true hockey movie form, the puck is nowhere near everyone, and everyone is getting hit.
Yeah, that's the thing, right?
Yes, it is in hockey movies.
Yeah.
And we can only assume that the Mustangs are losing because of Chadwick's speech in the locker room.
Right.
He's never seen such a bunch of sorry losers in his life. And we don't know the score or anything. Nothing. The first period is just like, oh, we'll drop the puck, and the first period's over. So, next period, and Racki takes out the Mustangs goalie.
No, Keanu.
No, Keanu. Did you ever see that movie, Keanu, with Jordan Peele and
Oh, no, I haven't.
Keegan-Michael Key? It's about a cat they have named Keanu. It's decent.
I love those.
Oh, me too.
They're so damn funny.
Key and Peele has some of the most rewatchability of any show ever.
100%. And when Keegan, so when Key is on It's Always Sunny as the Family Feud host, so damn funny.
So good, so good. That one and Kroll Show. I can watch both of those shows in perpetuity forever and ever and ever. The Rich Dicks from Kroll Show is so funny, which his friend in not Nick Kroll, but his friend on Rich Dicks is in the Fallout, the new Fallout series.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's very good. Have you watched that yet?
No.
Watch it. Yeah. So Keanu gets taken out, and that leads to a bench-clearing brawl. That dude gets his dentures knocked out, and Derek kisses a ref, and then the period ends.
Yeah.
The kissing of the ref was a ad-lib that got left in, and when you know it's an ad-lib, the look on the referee's face is like, why are you kissing me?
Yeah.
Stop kissing me.
This is not in the script.
And then he looks at him, he's like, well, it is Patrick Swayze.
It is Swayze.
And then he leans in for another kiss. He doesn't, but he should. I guess I would.
I mean, if Swayze was still around, I'd take a kiss from Swayze.
Yeah, I would date him.
So we are committed, like we said earlier, but it's Swayze.
Swayze's on my short list.
Swayze is definitely on my short list.
So back in the locker room, the Mustangs are in rough shape after the scrap at the end of the period. That is good news for Dean.
Yep. The center on Sutton's line is too hurt to continue, so Dean is getting his shot.
Very reluctantly from Coach Chadwick. He's like, I guess. That dude's nose is like falling off his face, so I guess we're going to have to put Dean in. Back on the ice, and Dean makes short work of some defenders, passes to Derek, and he scores. So it's 1-0 Mustangs. Some good old late 80s and 90s hockey. Few goals and lots of physicality.
Yep.
The game has changed so much in the last 30 years. It's unbelievable. So just for an example, in the 80s and 90s, at any level of hockey above high school, you couldn't pass the puck across two lines.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were in your own zone and you passed to somebody on the other side of the red line, the play would be called dead because it crossed two lines. Now you see these giant stretch passes from the back, from your goal line all the way down to the other end of the ice practically, and it's made the game so much faster and made it so there's a lot more goals, basically.
Right.
It's just the game is so different now compared to what it was in the 80s and 90s.
Gretzky's dominance was during that time when you couldn't do the full court, the full rink passes.
Yeah, basically.
That's even crazier.
Right, and some of Gretzky's records. I'm not going to list any off because I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but they're talking about him a lot lately because of Alexander Ovechkin possibly going to eclipse his goals, Gretzky's goals. And the fact that Gretzky scored 50 goals in less than 50 games is unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Insane.
And then the whole 100 assist thing with a few players this year in the NHL, and how Gretzky had 7-8 seasons with over 100 assists.
Outrageous.
100 points. That's what it was. 100 points. It's
outrageous.
Unbelievable. Just unbelievable. A man of just his own class in hockey. I don't think the way he played the game would translate to the way the game is played now.
Sure.
But it's just hard to say anybody is really any better than the great one, Wayne Gretzky.
Great one.
That's why he is the great one.
Exactly.
So the only thing left to do is to send Racki out to take out Sutton.
Yeah.
It's 1-0, so it's desperate times for desperate measures for desperate times, I guess.
Yep.
It's 1-0. The game might be over, I guess.
So
score a goal.
We're talking about the same game where we assumed they're losing after the first period, right?
Right.
But it was 0-0.
It was 0-0.
It was just a beat down physically.
Yeah, and Chadwick was ripping into him like it was 6-0 or something.
Yeah.
Been like, got to keep it going. Let's get some pucks in the net. You guys are doing good. No, he's more worried about them physically getting beaten up as opposed to actually playing the game. Yeah, it's it's kind of weird. Like the drama they try to create with the score and stuff is unrealistic.
Right.
It's unrealistic. So Racki smashes Derek into the fence, which would probably really hurt to have your face raked across a chain link fence. It was an obvious penalty.
Yep.
Racki does draw a slashing penalty from old Huey that takes a good old whack at him.
Yep.
And then Chadwick gets a bench minor, so it's 5-on-3. It's 5-on-3. And so obviously Racki's going to score and the game is tied now. Obviously. And we almost get a second bench clearing brawl.
Chadwick punches a dude in the crowd.
Yeah, and subsequently gets ejected and should have been arrested.
Obviously.
And Racki and Sutton have a real bloodlust thing going for each other now. Sutton gets quite the hit on Racki at this point. It was a penalty also.
Yep.
Call some penalties. I mean, they do kind of address it. I can't remember the referee's name, but they kind of address the fact that this referee is either really bad or doesn't call penalties.
Yeah.
Because he's not calling any penalties.
He does not. He sucks at calling penalties.
Unless it's to decide the game with a penalty shot. Then he's going to call a penalty.
Then he's on top of it.
Yes. And then Dean, he scores. Racki attempts to murder Sutton via a slew foot, which a slew foot is actually a term from hockey where you take your foot and you knock out their feet, causing them to fall backwards. It's a real thing, and it's a very serious thing. And this is one of the more realistic, except for the fact that Racki punches his helmet off and then does it. That's kind of weak.
Yeah.
But even if he was wearing his helmet, falling back like that and smashing your head, helmet or no helmet, is not good.
That was hard to watch.
It was.
I didn't
very
like seeing the Swayze go down like that.
No. The way he it's not looking good. There's a lot of blood on the ice.
Definitely.
Dean puts his hand underneath there, and his hand comes out completely red,
full of blood.
Yeah, they should have been maybe a little bit more urgent in getting him some care.
I would think so.
Maybe.
I also don't like that this. I mean, maybe he was the on-site med doctor or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't like that the first thing he does is come and lifts his head up.
Yeah.
What the hell are you doing?
No, you might have a severe spinal or head injury. Let me jostle you around.
Let me tip your head up a little bit here.
Oh, his head just fell off.
Whoa.
So the stunt team had Swayze's stunt double in a harness for this scene. With a blood pack on the back of his head, so when Racki would kick out the stunt double's feet, they'd yank a rope and he'd go up in the harness, and the end result was very realistic.
Yeah, it did look real.
You couldn't tell that he was in a harness at all. It was a very realistic, it looked very brutal.
Yeah.
At the hospital, and Derek lives. Derek lives! They should have killed him. He should have been dead.
Should have been dead.
Dead.
That'd really get Youngblood going.
And he's the proud owner of a plate in his head.
Yeah, it's kind of like a filling. Big fucking filling.
It's his reaction to that is I'm so cold because of a plate in my head.
Yeah.
That's weird.
That's super weird.
Why would that make you cold? You're probably actually very cold because of the level of pain medication you're on.
Exactly.
Maybe put on a shirt. That might help too.
Yeah. Maybe.
Dean is obviously having second thoughts about playing hockey at this point. The Mustangs make it home, and they have to still practice after that game.
Yeah.
And that one dude's like, man, what a trip. You sound like you're straight out of 1978 with saying something.
Yeah.
What a trip, man.
What a trip, man.
Dean cannot handle the fact that they're continuing on as normal, even though a guy nearly died on the ice.
Yeah,
I kind of feel the same way. I'm like, I think I'm going to sit this one out, coach. So he walks out.
All the way back to the farm.
He effectively quit the team.
Yeah.
He does find Jessie, though. He finds her, and he tells her that he quit. Because what if it was him that was laying on the ice?
Right.
And for the first time in his life, he didn't want to play hockey. It's a fairly emotional scene.
Definitely.
Rob Lowe's acting chops are showing in this
sure.
scene. And Jessie, Gibb, I can't remember her first name, the woman that plays Jessie. Cynthia Gibb, I think you're right. She is also really good in the scene.
Yeah.
Overall, she's really good in the movie.
She's really good. And I had to look up her filmography because I'm like, why does she look familiar?
What was she in? I never looked it up.
Nothing that I've seen.
Really?
But I realized she just looks like an 80s version of Emma Watson to me.
100%.
She's got the Hermione bangs and stuff
100%.
and all that. And yeah, she definitely looks like Emma Watson.
She looks like Emma Watson.
That's why I said hubba hubba when you read her in the starring.
She looks like Emma Watson. That is for sure. So now we're back on the farm, and Dean's brother Kelly thinks Dean is being a big pussy.
Naturally. The guys are mean, and the coach is mean, and my best friend got hurt. Boo-hoo.
Would you rather bag manure or play in front of 20,000 people? His brother begged to play after he took a stick to the eye and was blinded. He's got that David Bowie thing going on with the one permanently dilated pupil.
Yeah.
It looks cool, but
it does look pretty cool.
Maybe instead of hopping on a bus and turning tail, Dean should have stayed and made Racki pay for his digression. I mean, he's going to get kicked out of the league anyway, right?
Yeah, this is junior hockey. He'll get suspended for one game.
No, he should have probably gone to jail.
Yeah, I'm going to say probably.
Tried to kill Derek Sutton.
Yeah.
Literally tried to kill him.
Yeah, seriously.
You need heart and never quit. Kelly wouldn't have had it. Kelly wouldn't have made it anyway. All he could do was fight, and that's all Dean's got to say about it. You wouldn't have made it anyway. All you could do is fight. Little foreshadowing there.
Yeah.
The next day, Dean is doing his chores on the farm, and he's looking hot on a tractor.
Yeah.
And at dinner, we find out that Racki was not suspended, and we find this out via newspaper. It should have been a phone call.
Should have been. Should have been a phone
Bring,
call.
bring, bring, bring. Hello? What? Racki didn't get suspended, but our guy got suspended? I gotta go find the paper. And now Dean is going to learn how to fight. And now Dean learns to fight. You gotta punch him and get that stick away from him first. Dean is ready for a montage.
Yeah.
A training montage. Hockey stuff and bag punching.
Yeah.
Don't forget the chin-ups in a barn.
Yeah.
Gotta love when there's a barn in a montage. And then Dad gets in on the training on the ice. Go, Dad.
Go, Dad.
If you want to go back, I want to make sure you're ready. Hit me!
Fight your dad. Dad does have some useful tips. Hold yourself up and be prepared to take a few punches. Yep. Dean managed to fight off his dad, and he wants to know why now. Why haven't you helped me before? Dad didn't want another son hurt. Lame excuse.
Yeah, come on, man. Come on, man.
Bro. But all of the turmoil that Dean shared with his father is over now?
I guess.
Moving on, it's time for the final game between the Mustangs and the Bombers, and Dean wants to get back on the team.
So he literally shows up to the rink as the team is getting on the ice.
Yeah.
Maybe get there like an hour beforehand.
Maybe try a little sooner.
A little bit. Like, that's so weird. He's like knocking on the locker room door and they're like on the ice already.
And
what?
Is this normal that they're playing them back to back, or is it just weird that the last game of the season was against the Bombers and now they're in this like championship game or whatever?
Right. So the first game that we see where Derek Sutton gets hurt is the first game of a 5-game series, I believe.
Oh,
you had to win 3-game series. You had to win 2 because we only play 3. They win 2 of them.
Sure.
So it's the first of a series for the championship. So that's it. They just gloss over the fact that this is the championship game.
Yeah.
They gloss over it. So Dean goes to the locker room to plead his case with Chadwick. Didn't you hear? You're a scratch for the game tonight.
Let him in, coach.
Sutton to the rescue. They have a little bit of a heart to heart.
Yep. Forget about Racki and just go out there and win that fucking game.
Swayze's acting chops are showing. This movie has some really good shining moments of like stellar acting.
Oh, definitely.
And it's Swayze in this moment, like the tears. He's so believable in it, and then multiple times with Rob Lowe just doing an awesome job while he's not very good at hockey in real life, just doing an awesome job.
The acting carries this movie.
It really does. It really does. I don't. If you would have had some, I guess. None of these people are like no names at the time of this movie being filmed, but they're not the huge international superstars that they became.
Right.
So if you would have had some no-name people that were just hockey people that, played the game, I don't think this movie would have had a shelf life.
I don't think so either.
Probably not at all. Tears are shed and Dean is back. It's a good moment that shows honor and duty are all that these guys have in this hockey rink. Duty to one another in honor of playing a game when someone like Sutton, who's probably going to miss his shot at making it to the NHL because of his head injury.
Yep.
On the ice now for the game, Kelly and Dad are at the game. Go, Dad.
Yeah.
Flash forward to the second period. We don't even get to see the first period of this game.
No.
Just flash forward to the second period.
Skipping it.
Just
they
skip
don't like to show that first period.
No, second period. 3 periods is too much.
Yep.
We can only do 2. And the Bombers score, making it 1-0. And of course, it was Racki that scored. Who else would it be? Nobody else on that team can score a goal. We've only seen Racki scoring goals. That's it.
Right.
Finally, Dean gets his chance.
It's about time, Chadwick.
Thanks, Jesse. Dean scores immediately. He probably should have been out there a lot sooner.
Probably.
And Racki gets sent out to take Dean out. And he smacks Dean in the face with the stick, nowhere near the play.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
You can't do that.
No penalty.
No penalty.
Possible eye injury, just like Kelly.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. And Dean gets carted off the ice. It was just a broken tooth. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
The Bombers score again to end the second period.
It's 2-1.
It's 2-1. In the locker room, Chadwick gives them a pep talk.
1 period away from one of the most memorable games of your life. Will you remember a win or a loss?
Which one will you remember? Back on the ice, and Racki is shadowing Dean, completely shutting Dean down. Dean shines with a wraparound goal, tying the game with 10 seconds left. We're already at 10 seconds left in the third period. With 3 seconds left, Racki trips Dean blatantly, and Dean gets a penalty shot.
Yeah.
This is like the one instance where, yes, there should have been a penalty.
Right.
There shouldn't have been a penalty shot. He wasn't even in the offensive zone, and that's one of the prerequisites to getting a penalty shot is being in the offensive zone.
So that's why the coach is upset. Because me not knowing hockey, I'm thinking, how could you possibly argue that that's a penalty? So it is a penalty.
It is a penalty.
But it does not deserve a penalty shot.
Does not. You have to be in the clear, in the process of shooting a goal to get a penalty shot.
Sure. That makes more sense.
It shouldn't have been a penalty, but that's okay. Finally, a penalty gets called in the game, in the movie. Finally. The opposing coach says Dean takes a dive, and that's pretty doubtful. It was pretty blatant. It's penalty shot time, and of course, Dean scores in slow-mo.
Of course.
It's a movie, and that goalie really sucks. Really, really sucks. Things ain't over yet, though.
Dean has to fight Racki. Not before Murray tries to pull Dean from the game, you son of a bitch. But Dean isn't coming off the ice, so watch his stick.
Yeah, watch his stick. He's going to stab you in the face with it.
Yeah, that's his weapon of choice.
The Mustangs win the game, and Dean and Racki face off at center ice, surrounded by both teams. First, they joust with their sticks. That is not a thing.
That was one of the things I was waiting to ask you, because I have never seen something like that before.
That is not a thing.
In a sport where we're trying to prove you're, not a pussy,
right?
That is not helping your case.
They're just slapping their sticks together.
Slapping their sticks like it's the Renaissance, and they got a crowd watching them. What the hell are they doing?
This isn't a Ren Fair, guys.
This is not a Ren Fair. You're supposed to be throwing punches.
I mean, and let alone the fact that they're fighting after the game is over.
Yeah.
That is not going to happen.
It's definitely not going to happen.
A sanctioned fight. They're and fight.
Fight.
Dean takes some punches. Dean gives some punches. And he puts those tips he got from his dad to work, and they just keep on fighting until Dean finishes him, knocking out Racki's tooth.
Eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth.
I get the symbolism, but that's pretty literal. Kind of put
pretty
right on the nose there.
Yeah.
Okay. Later that night, after the game, in an empty arena, Dean reflects on his journey to the pinnacle of Canadian junior hockey, signing some autographs for his young fans.
Yeah.
Jesse's there too, Zamboni and all.
Yeah.
She loves Dean even though he looks like shit.
Yeah.
She just loves watching dudes get beat up because
she
is turned on right now.
She is turned on to the max.
The lights in the rink go out, leaving the goal illuminated. Looks great to me.
Yeah.
I think it's a really cool way to
Oh, yeah.
Roll credits. A little bonus fact. The goalie masks used in Youngblood, the pucks with the Mustangs logo on it, and the script, and a bunch of photos from the movie were sent and currently live at the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Nice.
So you can go to the Hockey Hall of Fame in Toronto and go see that stuff.
That's awesome.
I tried to see some pictures of it, and the only picture I could find on the internet was a picture of the mask that Keanu Reeves wore. So maybe at one time all of those things were on display,
sure.
And maybe only Keanu's mask is, because he's a major Hollywood international star, so of course you're going to put that mask on display.
Makes sense.
But yeah, man, what did you think of this movie? Honest opinions that you're not going to hurt my feelings or anything like that?
No, honestly, I don't feel like this movie had any business being as good as it was. I don't know, but like I said, the acting carries the movie. I think
really
if
does.
you put a bunch of no-namers in this, I'm like, what are we watching right now? But it was really good acting.
Agreed.
And, I'm crushing on Jesse the whole time because I'm trying to figure out, Emma Watson. And I love me the Swayze.
Obviously.
And I don't know, I'm just a sucker for sports movies.
Yeah.
Even if it wasn't a sport I was into, I have a lot of fun imagining myself as a badass sports figure.
I like it.
Yeah, I mean, I was always, average or below in sports, but I was good enough that I can picture myself being Dean Youngblood.
Yeah.
Or a little Derek Sutton.
Who would you rather be, Dean Youngblood or Derek Sutton?
I love the Swayze.
I love the Swayze.
I love the Swayze.
I think I would choose Derek as well, honestly.
Yeah, I'm going Derek.
Obviously, I love this movie, and you put it very succinctly. This movie has no business being as good as it is.
Yeah.
It is somewhat of a cult flick. Like when you tell people, hey, I watch Youngblood. Oh, my God, I haven't seen that movie in 20 years.
Yeah.
I got to watch that movie again.
For real.
But that's a really good way to put it. This movie has no business being as good as it is.
Yeah.
The acting of some very good actors makes this movie watchable.
Yep.
And the fact that it is a hockey movie, but it's not really hockey heavy.
Yeah.
They do a very good job of telling the emotional stories of these three characters between Jesse, Dean, and Derek.
Yeah.
So those three characters, they get a really good story told about them.
Agreed.
And the way they interact, Jesse and Dean's chemistry was great on screen.
Great, not forced.
Not forced at all. And even Dean and Derek's chemistry on screen was great.
Yeah.
It was kind of weird. Like they went up to that line of trying to have Derek treat him as like a younger brother.
Yeah.
But Dean already has an older brother.
Yeah.
So they went right up to that line and didn't quite say it, even though it was kind of insinuated a little bit that Derek was taking him under his wing and showing him in the ropes by shaving his balls.
That's what all big bros do.
Get over here. I'm going to shave those balls.
Shave those balls wearing my jockstrap.
Again. I told you we got to get good at this.
And I got to go slow because this thing is dull.
Oh, I love this movie, Trav. I really, really love this movie. Do you want to talk about the homework assignment? Unless you have anything else you want to talk about with Youngblood.
No, let's move on over to Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, that's right. We're getting back into Dragon Ball Z. We're going to continue going through Season 1, and we're going to do episodes 19 through 24. The original Japanese run of these episodes was from September 13th, 1989 to October 25th, 1989. The North American release of these episodes is on January 10th, 1997.
Boom.
Go back to our other Dragon Ball Z episodes if you want some more information about voice actors, creators, and storytelling or whatever. They're good episodes, so go back and listen to those ones again. And before we go any farther, R.I.P. Akira Toriyama.
R.I.P.
R.I.P., man.
Legend.
What is going to happen to the series?
I mean, supposedly everything I've seen is he was working with someone directly who he has complete faith in, who's apparently taking over the manga.
Okay.
Or manga. We
Whatever.
went over that.
Yeah.
But it's already been confirmed that is going to continue.
Yep.
So that's great news.
That is good news.
And then, we've got Dragon Ball Daima or Daimu, I forget what it's called, that's coming out. So it's a totally different series. It is not Super. They're all like kids again.
Oh.
And Toriyama he was brought on as a consultant originally and fell in love with it. So like his stamp is going to be all over it. And he said Dragon Ball fans are going to love this show.
Good.
And then Super will be coming back.
Yeah.
Hopefully sooner than later. But
all I know is when Super does come back, Trunks and Goten need to be adults.
They need to be adults.
You're going to make me watch them as children again, or maybe even not even born in this series.
Yeah.
They need to be adults.
God, I need Orange Piccolo. I need Beast Gohan.
Yes.
I need to see me some Ultra Ego Vegeta.
Yes.
We need all the awesomeness.
All of the awesomeness. I'm going to run through the names of these episodes here real quick, Trav. Episode 19 is called Defying Gravity. Episode 20 is called Goku's Ancestors. Episode 21 is called Counting Down. 22 is The Darkest Day. 23 is The Sabermen Attack. And 24 is The Power of Nappa.
And these are great episodes.
Yes, they are very good episodes.
Because I did my homework way ahead of time, and it was so great that I watched through the entire series.
Amazing. Amazing, Trav. Amazing, Trav. Well, with that out of the way, why don't you hit me with your outro, Trav, with the outro.
Let's get into some emails. So our first email is from Hoagies and Grinders, wants to know the most savage thing we used to do with our school lunches. Can you think of any savage things? I'll tell you what I used to do.
Please do.
So, you could take as much bread as you want.
Okay.
Like, just for free, whatever, it wasn't part of the lunch. So every day on nacho day, I would take a good 6 to 8 extra pieces of bread to just swipe that nacho cheese up when I was done and just eat cheesy bread.
Cheesy bread. So at my high school, we had like 3 different lines for lunch and like a snack bar area where you could pay like with cash to get stuff.
Yep, the a la carte.
Yep. So we had a line that was the hot lunch menu.
Yep.
We had a line that was always subs, and we had a line that was like salads, basically.
Sure.
I would go through that sub line pretty often because I just like a sandwich. You know, I like a Sammy. They had the Italian sandwich. They had like a ham, a turkey, and like a combo sandwich. It was like the ham and turkey together. I would always get the Italian, and whenever we would get it, I would always go, "Give me the Italian!" High school kids are stupid, man.
Stupid, dude.
Scream it. Give me the Italian!
And the lady is just fucking pissed.
She would see me coming, I bet, and be like, God damn it.
Oh, here we go. This fucker's going to say Italian again.
But the savagery with that Italian sandwich was you'd go to the salad bar area with not where you get the salads, but where all the fixins for the salad was. You ladle up yourself some ranch.
Ooh.
You scoop yourself up some Bacos, some of those fake bacon bits, mix it into that ranch, and then you dip your Sammy right in there. Dip it right in there.
I love it.
That was the most savage thing I would do. Give me an Italian!
That reminds me,
kid.
in the a la carte, we'd have the spicy chicken sandwich in there. I would say, I would go in there a couple times, throw a little nacho cheese on there, but not pay for it.
Oh,
I'm saying? Like, not put it on the side.
Savage.
Look left, look right. Okay, she's helping someone else. Put a little nacho cheese on there. Yeah, so if you're not getting it, all my savagery had to do with nacho cheese.
Nacho cheese. I mean, you got to do what you...
I still love me some nacho cheese.
You got to do what you got to do for that nacho cheese.
You got to do what you got to do. That's going to be my new credo. Got to do what you got to do for that nacho cheese.
I like it. That should be our slogan for the show.
The next email comes from Corn My Hole, wants to know our favorite backyard game or sport that we like to play as a kid.
So we used to just play a lot of pickup football, which is like 3-on-3, 2-on-2, which is just, you got to count to 10 apple, and then, you get one person that's trying to... We would play, it would start off as like 2-hand touch, but it would always devolve into getting tackled and somebody getting pissed.
Yeah.
It's just kind of how it works. But we used to play that a lot, and we also used to do, bean bags and stuff like that, ladder golf and stuff like that. But as a kid, the big thing was like the 2-on-2 or 3-on-3 football that we would play all the time.
For sure. We did a lot of bean bags.
Nice.
Which, now I say cornhole
Yeah.
because I didn't know that was what it was called when I was a kid.
I
it
still
was
have
bean bag.
I still have a hard time saying cornhole.
I just love saying it, cornhole, close to cornholio.
Yep, very close.
But yeah, we did, the ladder, what'd you say?
Ladder golf.
Ladder golf.
Yep.
And then I always wanted to play with the lawn darts, but kids weren't allowed to play with the lawn darts. A little too savage.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I love me some beanbag toss, and I'm pretty damn good at it.
Nice.
I was good as a kid. And then Lauren's dad made me up my game. When we went to Kansas City, he taught me a strat of how to hold the beanbag, and he was like, "Holy shit! You don't play normally?" No, I don't just need the strat.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but now we got another email coming from Man Bear Pig. Says,
"Hey.
Mortal Kombat." He said, just finished the podcast, a.k.a. the Mortal Kombat podcast. He said, didn't watch the episode since they wanted me to pay, and I'm a cheap ass, but I watched this movie enough as a kid to play it in my head while you broke it down. A lot of questions for you. He said, Mortal Kombat was a favorite at Pocket Change, which was our arcade here in Mankato. For me and friends, for sure. However, Street Fighter was my go-to game on the console. Also, Streets of Rage 3 was probably my most played fighting console game amongst us. So, questions for you. Did you play Streets of Rage at all?
Yes.
I did too.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't play it, though. I think that was on Sega Genesis?
Yes.
Yeah, I played that a little bit, but I played it more when it was on the Sega Genesis collection.
Yeah.
That came out on PlayStation 3 or whatever. But fun game. I mean,
definitely.
Kind of like Final Fight, which I liked that. That was on SNES.
Mm-hmm.
He said, how many coins do you estimate pumping into Mortal Kombat at Pocket Change?
Way too many.
Way too many.
Yeah, because, I mean, you'd go up there and there'd usually be somebody else playing, so you got to face them, and then if they're good, you get your ass kicked. Back to the back of the line.
Right.
Got to wait another 20 minutes to try again.
If I remember right, that was Ultimate MK3.
I believe so. I think they had Mortal Kombat 2 also there.
I think 2 was there as well, actually. He says, what was your favorite game at Pocket Change? His was the Simpsons arcade game.
Mm-hmm.
Never beat it, but goddamn did he try.
Yeah, definitely.
I never played the Simpsons game.
No, I love that game. It was a really good game to play at Pocket Change. I used to play that one. I used to try my best at Tekken. I would get my ass kicked at Tekken all the time.
Yep.
They had a stand-up Tetris there that was like the old-style looking Tetris that was a red cabinet, and it had like the animations and stuff. Like, it was a very early generation Tetris cabinet.
Nice.
That I liked to play, and it was just, I don't know why. I've got Tetris at home on my NES. I've got Tetris on my Game Boy. I've got Tetris on the Super Nintendo. But I'm going to go put quarters into this machine and play Tetris.
Right.
There was a couple other games there that were fun to play. I mean, obviously, it's fun to play any of those games that were for the tickets at Pocket Change and get those stupid-ass tchotchkes that you would get that not even worth it. I actually found some Pocket Change tickets when I was going through my childhood stuff, condensing it down.
Nice.
I was like, wow, gray Pocket Change tickets.
Nice.
Should bring them in somewhere. Nowhere. But
give me some Lave Tafes.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say, I think I had played a lot of like the Lost World, the Jurassic Park game.
That was a good one.
That was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Time Crisis with the Recoil, House of the Dead, to when I was a kid, and I'd come to Mankato, they had a really sweet, like, airplane game where you would sit in the car and it would move with you. That was fun as hell. But for fighting games at the arcade, probably Mortal Kombat. Played a lot of Tekken there. I think it was Tekken 2 or 3 at the time. And then I was the sucker for old games, so I did a lot of Miss Pac-Man.
Nice.
A lot of Miss Pac-Man.
Nice. That game that you're talking about, that was kind of like a flight simulator thing. It was $1 to play that in like 1992.
Yeah.
That is insane to think about. $1 to play a game.
But I got to imagine, of all games to break down, that had to cost a pretty penny to fix.
I'm sure. It was like front and center too. Like you could see it as you walked into the mall.
Like you walk in and you see that.
Yeah.
Like, Dad.
$1? I don't think so.
$1.
I can get 10 gallons of gas for $1.
He said, did you play Street Fighter more than Mortal Kombat?
At home, yes. In the arcade, no.
Agreed. Yep. Was it even in Pocket Change?
I don't know if it was in Pocket Change. I remember it being at All Seasons Arena, Super Street Fighter 2.
Sure.
I think it was at Pocket Change. It's hard to remember. It may not have been at Pocket Change.
Might not,
It kind of seems weird that it wouldn't have been.
Same for me, though. Street Fighter more at home.
Yes.
I owned both, but I feel like Mortal Kombat was one I played more when I had cousins or friends over.
Sure.
I played Street Fighter more myself.
Yeah.
Because Street Fighter 2 Turbo came with my SNES.
Yeah.
But you and I played a little Mortal Kombat 2 the other day.
We did.
I was whooping on you pretty good.
Yes, you were.
Who was your favorite Mortal Kombat fighter? He says his was Scorpion by far.
Yeah, if you're going to go just Mortal Kombat, that original set of characters, Scorpion.
Scorpion
is
or Sub-Zero.
Yeah, the obvious.
Well, yeah, for sure. He said, who was your go-to for Street Fighter? His was Blanca, or the Sumo, which he's talking about Honda. Was easiest because you could just button mash their specialty and nobody could do shit about it. He said he took a lot of shoulder punches for the button mashing.
Well, same thing with Blanca on Street Fighter. If I'm playing Street Fighter, I usually went back and forth between Ryu and Ken. Those are my two that I would choose the most.
Obviously.
Dhalsim was a close second to Ken.
Yep.
Ryu was probably number 1. Ken was probably number 2. Dhalsim was a close number 3. I would probably say Honda would go number 4. Characters like Guile and Chun-Li down at the bottom for me. I didn't like playing as either of those.
I did the button mashing kick with Chun-Li all the time.
And then of course Blanca is always in there when you're getting pissed and you're like, I'm just gonna be electrical guy, just stand here, come and get it.
Right, but I was definitely Ryu, which I don't. Is it Ryu?
I don't know. I've always said Ryu.
I've always said Ryu.
I'm sticking with it.
Saiyan
Shoryuken.
Yeah, love me some Ryu. I can't wait till we get to that movie eventually.
Yeah, definitely.
And he says, last question here, what game would you like to see be made into a movie? He said, mine would be Legend of Zelda. I don't know how a live-action movie or series of that hasn't been done yet. It would easily be better than Lord of the Rings if Chris Nolan made it. And I know Chris is a listener, so let's make it happen. So little to dissect there. Do not say something is better than Lord of the Rings. You're crazy.
Tough.
You're crazy.
That's tough.
You're crazy. I love me some Lord of the Rings, but I also love Christopher Nolan, so if anyone's going to make it better, that's probably it. But the original question is, what is a game that you would like to see made into a movie?
I've always said that Fallout would be an amazing movie. They made it into an amazing series that I can't wait for it to continue. But if I'm going to choose a modern game, I think I'll go a modern game. Man, there's a lot there for, what would, so, I mean, if you go for a modern game, I think Zelda is an obvious choice. I don't know how. Nintendo is just so protective of their IPs.
Yeah.
It's just going to be difficult for something like that to be made. And if you're going to make it, how are you going to make it? Are you going to go live action? Are you going to go animated? What are you going to do with that?
Right.
And if you go animated, what style of animation are you going to go in? I think if you're going to go animation with a Zelda game, you could say do it in a Studio Ghibli style. It would lend itself perfectly to the whimsy, to the the fantasy of it, and something I would definitely watch that. The lore of a game like that is so extensive. What do you make the movie about?
Right.
Do you take Ocarina of Time and say we're going to make it Ocarina of Time? Do you take Breath of the Wild and say we're going to take this Breath of the Wild and do that? Or do you try to just take the characters as they are and set them in a universe in Hyrule and just create your own story with those characters?
Right.
What do you do with that? What would you say?
To me, it's a movie can't capture it.
No.
I think it's got to be a series.
Yeah, a lengthy series at that.
And I don't know. I think I would like it to be live action, but there's a better chance for it to be successful if it was animated.
Yes.
So I would probably go animated.
I would probably say animated too. It would probably be way cheaper to do it animated. Animation is not cheap by any means, but the cast of characters that you would have to have, the VFX budget you would have to have, the set design, costume design, and if you get any of that wrong, any series from any video game that gets made into a series or into a movie needs to look at the Fallout series and be like, that's how you do it.
Yeah,
that is how you do it, because they knocked it out of the park. I'll stop talking about that series someday, but I don't know if it's anytime soon.
Yeah, 65 million people watched it in the first 2 weeks or something like that. Crazy.
It's good.
Already renewed for season 2.
Yep.
For me, even though I think it's like loosely been attempted to do a Resident Evil based off Resident Evil 2 or whatever, I would like to see them do Res Evil 4, my favorite game.
Sure.
And make it a TV series. Because, if you're playing the whole game, I think you can beat it, pretty easily within like 10-ish hours.
Yeah,
so
it's fairly short.
A nice, limited one-season series that could be awesome. I think, God of War could be really sweet.
Yeah.
And if you get the right person to play Dante, Devil May Cry could be a really cool, John Wick type, just fucking blasting people the whole movie. So, yeah, Devil May Cry, Resident Evil. I mean, Mario was so good that I'm excited for Charlie Day to get a spin-off for Luigi's Mansion.
Absolutely.
I thought that'd be super, super funny.
It would be.
But yeah, that was a super awesome email. So thank you, Man Bear Pig. Next one we got here is from, we'll just say Chris K, because I don't know if he wants us to say his full name. But Chris K sent his first email for us, and he says, "The Ghost and the Darkness needs to be watched. Starts a little bit slow, but it's based on a true story, and everyone I make watch loves it." So
we're going to do it.
We're going to have to do it. We're going to have to pencil it in.
It's got Val Kilmer.
Ooh, I'm already interested.
Yeah,
I'm already interested.
He gets stalked by lions in the African jungle.
All right. But yeah, thank you everyone for listening, and thank you for the emails. Keep them coming. And if you want to email us It is podcast@overduehomework.com. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Overdue Homework Podcast. And as always, make sure you tune in to the next exciting episode of the Overdue Homework Podcast.